So I'm with IBM. Actually, this year it's 37 years. In my current role, I'm project executive for environmental compliance, sustainability, and risk management. It cuts across IBM's large supplier base. I'm supporting the global procurement team because we have so much interaction with our supplier base. But these other programs really transcend procurement and touch almost every business unit that IBM has. The supply chain resiliency program is really comprised of two major parts. I like to say it's the two sides of the same coin. One is risk management. So we're interested in assessing the level of risk that each supplier brings when we do business with them. And we actually use the Resilinc services that help us evaluate this. At one time, we did this ourselves, but we found that Resilinc's tool was doing what we were doing, but they were doing it better, and what we weren't doing, they were doing it also better. So we actually went with them. So we evaluate our suppliers across about 5 or 6 features, and then we rank them. So it gives us a view of whether or not we want to assign them more business, or it gives us the level of risk coming in when we start them off as a new supplier. So risk management, the assessment is very, very key. But the other side of that, having a risk rating is not complete unless you know the level of resilience they have. So you need to know their ability to recover, how do they handle power outages, labor shortages, it could be pandemic issues. So we also use a Resilinc service to measure a supplier's resiliency and their business continuity. And those two things make up a single risk rating, composite risk rating that we have of all our suppliers. Well, the benefits to using Resilinc we found is we've actually able to reduce our expense and our staff. And we're able to do much more than we were doing before, especially using Eventwatch. That was something that I was doing in-house. I had a whole team set up to do that, but as we put the challenge to Resilinc, we wanted to know anything, anytime, anywhere that was going to affect our supplier base. And we actually put the challenge on, we'd like to know it before it happened. Their Eventwatch has been instrumental in us knowing where events are going to happen and enabling us to take preemptive action. For starting a new program, it's so overwhelming. It's such a large task. You got to start somewhere. Start small with something that's more of a pilot, that's manageable. You can grow into it because when you're going to find that it's maybe a little bit more difficult to get set up than you thought, just from the standpoint of dealing with a third party, bringing them to the suppliers, letting the suppliers respond. So sometimes it takes some education, some communication. That's one thing. Start somewhere, but start small. The next thing I would say is to have the top executive backing. This is something that's very difficult, and it's not something that you can really manage at the lower level. You need an executive sponsor that has vision, that says, this is what we want to do, because there's going to be fits and starts, and you just can't, fold it up. That's the second one. The third thing is that nothing's perfect. So you're going to learn from this, that you're going to maybe measure something that you found out that's not important, or you're going to have to be adaptable and say, well, these are the types of risks I want to look at. So having an adaptability, and then being able to look at not just your current risk, but if you're doing global sourcing, you're seeing that the world is changing. So the risks that we see today are not the risks that we saw in the past, nor are they of the same nature, because they're often in a global economy like this, cumulative in nature and much, much more complex and harder to assess and root out if you're going to stay the course to do global sourcing.